And we are back live with you, family. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome once again to Parent Power Hour, brought to you by TDP. I am your host, William Richardson, and we are joined. We have esteemed guests, but we got to start with the face of the franchise because he was missing last week. I know he had a lot of people scared and praying and everything, but the prayers worked.
Yes,
And the brother Tyrone is back. Go ahead, Tyrone. What are you going to say?
I just was saying yes, they did work or something because COVID test came back negative. Thank God. That was amazing. I was definitely showing some symptoms. And I was just like, I was scared. I was scared. I ain't gonna say the other word after scared, but I was scared. But yep, it came back negative. I feel a lot better. I'm now addicted to peppermint oil. But I'll share a little later.
All right, we praise God for that. We're glad you're doing well. Again, family, we are joined by two esteemed guests. Miss Kindel Nash, who is a poly parent. It was funny because I was going to ask her some math questions. She was like, "Oh no, today's role is that of a parent on the show." So we're glad that she's here to ask some questions or answer questions from the parent perspective. And Mr. Josh Massey, who is an educator, sir. Thank you for joining us, both of you, very much. Want to say shout outs to our family, Tyrone. We are at averaging 1,000 views per show. Thank you all so much for continuing to tune in, have great questions, comments, and you are sharing the show and the information that you're asking for. We're happy to bring to you as much as possible. So we're going to start with our connection question. Family, please chime in. The question is, what is your favorite, well, actually, what was your first vehicle? Okay, what is your first vehicle? And for Mr. Massey and for folks like Mr. Massey, you have to tell us your favorite mode of transportation, because Mr. Massey said that he's never owned his own vehicle, which is cool. But we need to know what their favorite mode of transportation is. So, Ms. Nash, I will start with you, your first vehicle, and then I'll go, and then Mr. Massey will go.
My first vehicle was a Toyota Corolla with 205,000 miles on it.
All right. Now, did it have a name? I know I didn't ask it. Did you give it a name or no?
Yeah, gosh, that was a long time ago, William. I don't remember.
Very cool. Very cool. For me, it was an 85 Chevrolet Celebrity. I didn't name it, but my best friend gave it the name the Cruiser. So, for whatever that's worth. And I was up there with you, Ms. Nash, with the miles. I was way up there. It was a gifted family car, so had a lot of miles. Mr. Massey, we're going to swerve a little bit for you. What's your favorite mode of transportation?
All right, so my favorite mode of transportation, probably be a Lyft. I use the Lyft a lot. Now, what I use frequently is the MTA. I use the MTA like light rail and buses a lot, especially when I was in undergrad and grad school. So that's how I really got around Baltimore. So.
All right. And Mr. Massey, I don't know if you ever tried MARC, but I think it is an underrated mode of transportation. The MARC train is all right.
I have used MARC. One summer I was working in the government and in Gaithersburg, and I was still going to school at UMBC. So that's how I would get like from Baltimore to Gaithersburg and Montgomery County, primarily using the MARC. So yes, I like the MARC too. It's really good, really nice.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Tyrone,
yes,
face of the franchise. Let me see. Should I guess? Let me see here. Let me see.
Okay. I like that.
Rolls Royce.
If a Rolls Royce was my first car, I probably wouldn't be on here right now. Actually, my first call, y'all know I'm getting us set up in our groups and stuff as we are live. So please bear with me. That's why I'm looking away from the phone and not just like in here yet. But we are getting it going. But my first car actually was 1999 Ford Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
Ford Taurus. Now, let me say this though now, because I was not as bad as Miss Massey. I probably had like 125,000 miles on there when I got it. It was like decked out. Like I got it from, it was my brother's car, and he had TVs in the headrest and an automatic starter.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was like dope. And I got it for $600 because it was my brother. So
Nice.
Wow.
yeah, it was nice.
And that 99 Taurus body was, it was something to be reckoned with.
Yep.
Something to be reckoned with. Okay, so we're going to cut to the chase now, family. Tyrone, make sure those folks are also entering in. They don't get to slide through this question. Put in your favorite vehicle or favorite mode, or your first vehicle or favorite mode of transportation, family. Please, we'll be looking to hear your answers. Mr. Massey, we're going to come to you. Sometimes you just say the word math, and if you're like me, you freeze up, 42 years of age, and you still freeze up. And I'm not talking about calculus, Mr. Massey. I'm talking about regular math. So in this time, another added stressor with, our new reality, so to speak, would be math. What are some of the challenges that you foresee students having with math as we roll ahead to virtual and online schooling?
So there are a lot of problems, of course, and challenges with math. The research kind of shows us that 3 things are really important for math success in students across all grades and all levels, right? So number 1 is having access to a high quality, rigorous curriculum is probably the most critical part of math success. Like it needs to be able to be understood, it needs to be able to be taught by teachers, it needs to be able to be understood by students and received in a way that in a language that they can understand, right? So that's like one of the first pieces, and according to research, is important for math success. The second one is really supporting a strong math identity. Now, what this means is having students be able to see themselves in the work that they're doing, right? So it's making math come alive to them. Like it's not just why are we learning the area of a rectangle, for example? It's why is this important? How can this be applicable, and how could this be something that you do in the future? So like being able to see themselves, see their communities really in their math. And then the last thing is a pedagogy that supports, that it kind of ties into the last piece about pedagogy that supports this learning over time, all right? So while we are trying to connect the different pieces of math to their individual lives, trying to help them relate it to their own lives and career choices they could pursue in the future. So those 3 things are really what the research says about effective math instruction, which is going to be, of course, even more of a challenge without in this virtual space where we're relying on a lot of students and parents to be able to log on instead of being physically in a school building.
All right, Ms. Nash, just before I go to Ms. Nash, can I follow up, Mr. Massey? You mentioned math identity. That is an astounding and I think crucial part of education in communities of color or even in your own practice. What kind of steps have you taken to ensure that those young people can identify with some of the, mathematical academic prowess, not only of their communities today, but maybe even historically? And I think we may have lost. Oh, Mr. Massey there?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. My internet connection has been going in and out. I'm sorry. I didn't hear
Join the club.
I heard you. Yes. I'm sorry about that. Could you ask your question again?
No problem. You were mentioning math and identity. Yes. And I was asking, what kind of things have you done in maybe your own personal practice to show students of color, communities of color, that they have a history in academics and not only academics, but mathematics? What kind of things have you done to ensure they understand that?
All right, so directly my work as an educator, I'm a computer science teacher, but I tutor a lot of students in math and trying to help them see the connections between and the value of math. I teach at a school with a very strong STEM curriculum, and in helping them see themselves in math, it's really about connecting the I guess the field choices, like the work that they can do to the math. Does that make sense? All right, like, because a lot of students say I want to be an engineer. Well, engineers have to do calculus. Right. Calculus is geometry. All right, and I teach a lot of high school. I teach freshman students, and most of them are in geometry class, and they're always wondering, like, well, how does these small concepts relate to being an engineer or being a scientist or being a doctor or being even in areas outside of that. Like, I have some students that might want that expressed to me they want to be a lawyer, and they want to be like they're going to patent law for some reason, like something I could never do, of course. But like, how does the math relate into these different areas, and being able to see themselves specifically in the identity, hitting that identity piece is what's critical, because you need to really relate it to what they want to do and what they could do, and help them imagine the possibilities.
All right, thank you. Ms. Nash, as a parent, if you're like me, I don't know what to tell my children at all when it comes to math. I'm a literacy person as well. What challenges do you foresee with your children in math, and maybe some solutions that you might have?
Yeah, so I have two students who are in city schools. They're twins, and so one of them is at Poly and one of them is at City, actually. So that's kind of funny. But from my perspective, I moved here to Baltimore a few years ago, and the system there are a lot of challenges with math that are kind of like inherently related to the choice system in Baltimore City Public Schools. And so like, I was sharing a story that, my kids were placed into honors classes, not necessarily for any particular reason. It was sort of random because they had like participated in some gifted classes at their school where we used to live. And then come to find out that their grades are weighted in honors classes, and that increases their composite score. And they have the opportunity to take Algebra 1. And some kids, I've heard, even have an opportunity to take geometry in middle school. So this is in a really small kind of school setting where they're able to get a lot of support, and be successful. So that was kind of like my kids, math identity is not super positive, because my husband is a linguist, and I'm a professor of literacy. And so, I think we implicitly, showed our kids that math was like something that was really hard. And even though they had the advantages of having a weighted GPA, which, ultimately led them to having, access to these schools. And I want to point out that only 20% of kids in Baltimore City Public Schools are able to even get into those top schools. Only 20% of all the kids. And so the system is that we're working within. I just really feel like we have to kind of talk about that first, right? Then, the support for math, the effective instruction, but then the support for math is really a challenge. Last spring when my kids were trying to complete geometry, I could not help them. I could not. I don't, we don't know about that. And so it was really hard. And, you can't just move kids through math, because math cumulative, like one concept builds on the next. And so if you don't master, which is probably maybe what happened to you, William, and it's certainly what happened to me, you know, if you miss out on certain instruction in like fractions, then later on, when you're supposed to be like multiplying fractions and, you know, doing complex stuff with fractions, what's going to happen? And so there are these sort of big, high level challenges with math. And then there are the challenges that families face with, like, you know, how do you support your kids? Now, you asked me about solutions, and I think that there are solutions. I think that, you know, I think that we have to figure out how to not keep passing kids through, right? Not just plugging through the curriculum and, you know, on a bulldozer. And if the kids don't understand something, oh, well. My daughter, who's now, you know, finished with high school, she went to a school kind of like City College in Missouri, where we used to live. And at that school, she had an excellent math teacher for 9th and 10th grade. The thing that made that teacher excellent was that if she failed a quiz or a test, he would say, come to my class. It's not an option. Come to my class after school or at lunch. Let's go over what you missed, and then you can remaster it. And so, you know, even my kid, you know, who has kind of a negative identity about math and who really can't get a lot of support from home, you know, schools can put that kind of thing in place. So remastery, allowing kids to be able to remaster math content can be a really important solution. This doesn't just mean taking the thing over again. That's what Mr. Massey and I were talking about. This means like a teacher or a tutor or some kind of support has got to help understand where is your understanding, you know, breaking down. And imagine if, you know, if we all had that when we were going through school. So I think that's one solution that, you know, that you know, can be really like fundamental to change.
Thank you. You know, Ms. Nash, you're touching on a heartstring. Tyrone, take it away. What do the people have to say? I'm reliving my math inadequacies.
You know, but think about it like broader than that, right? I'm so glad it touched you, because like that's what we're talking about, dismantling systems of oppression in communities that have been harmed by inequitable practices for years. So I'm glad that touched you, because we really need that. Like, think about how much greater our world could be if everyone could access math on an equal level, equal playing field. Like,
yeah, great point, Tyrone.
Yep. So as always, welcome fam that's watching out there. Shouts out to our regulars: Michael, happy birthday; Octavia Dozier,
happy birthday;
Bradley, Patrick Henderson, Tanya Staten Saunders, Derek Schaff, Michael Cheney, welcome, Miss Shirley Cook, Kirsten Lynn, Brandy Aspen, just to give a few shots out. I ain't gonna name all of y'all, but we do like to give shots out to our folks. I ask that y'all continue to share this live, host watch parties and all that good stuff. Get the word out there as we are talking and engaging with parents and educators. I do have, okay. So question is, why is it math taught in earlier years as in Africa and Scandinavia? And along with that, what would it take to introduce more complex math concepts earlier? If someone wants to answer those, and then I'll come back to the next one.
Mr. Nash?
Did you say Mr. Massey or Mr. Nash?
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Nash is not here.
I matched it up. That's why Mr. Massey was just looking at me like, I don't know who you're talking to, sir.
still emotional.
You're right. It's the math. See what you did, Miss Nash? It's your fault. That's why I said you just, it's trauma. Mr. Massey, if you could address the questions, please.
Sure. Again, just speaking from my own experience as an educator, I will admit that I am not, like, my primary assignment is not to teach math, but from what I know, is again, like, kind of speaking to what we were talking about earlier, there is, I will say the current curriculum is good. Like the curriculum that we follow, and I know a lot of people like, oh, Common Core math is different and it's not as rigorous or whatever have you. We hear that a lot. The curriculum is actually very solid. It's about where students are placed within that curriculum and how it's being taught, the pedagogy that's being used in the classroom. That's more of the challenge here. So if we get students and challenge students early in math, then they will rise up to the occasion, right? So if we expect little of students and we offer little support to students at the same time, then that's exactly what they're going to live up to. They're going to see themselves as I just crunch numbers and I don't know what this is, and I'm just doing it because I'm doing it the way I'm taught to do it. Rather than, can we make it transformative and can we make it rigorous early on, like from an early stage, earlier in life, like especially at the second, third, fourth grade level, some of the most critical years of math instruction. If you make it rigorous and high quality, then they will rise up to the challenge, and it really makes a domino effect in many ways. So I hope that it addressed the question, Tyrone.
Yeah. Did that answer your question, Mr. Patrick? It wasn't my question. It was Mr. Patrick's question. So we'll see what he say. But another thing is, although you aren't a math teacher, Mr. Massey wants to know, do you think in this time with this vigorous math and this word pedagogy, who most haven't heard of, would you offer parents assistance? And do you think that current math teachers should offer parents assistance who have no idea what this new math is?
I think there should be adequate assistance in not just math, but in all content areas to help parents support their students the best way possible. I think a lot of current modes and like the standard, and what I hear from a lot of students and some parents is like, if you don't understand something, you can go to YouTube and find a video or whatever have you, which is good. That is great. But at the end of the day, that is effectively lecture, and that's not the most effective form of teaching that is out there. So reaching out to teachers and trying to help them, because not every teacher can work one-on-one, but trying to work with parents to help them understand where we're going will probably be the most effective way of helping students, especially in this virtual space. Because I'll tell you, I teach computer science, right? And I can guarantee even fewer of my parents know about computer science than they know about math, right? So it's really about compiling the appropriate resources, be it YouTube videos or other forms of direct instruction, and then also supporting parents in how to access those resources and access practice for their students so they can keep drilling it in, because we know that making sure that the constant practice every day is important in math instruction. And that's really how we can increase get some of that pedagogy that we see in the classroom at home, and so the students can progress in their own math journey and math literacy skills.
Wow. This is just a comment. Teaching Algebra 2 in high school and kids are going through puberty. Aren't we asking too much?
Yeah, I can see the point there. Going being made there, but Algebra 2 has a lot of useful skills, especially when you're about to go into pre-calculus and eventually, hopefully, AP calculus and calculus courses in post-secondary institutions. So, yeah.
As a student at BCCC and failing math consistently, I noticed all of my tutors were young Africans. I asked how they were so good at it. They told me they started learning concept as early as first grade. So as Ms. Massey said, formulas must be remembered. They are cumulative, which makes processing easier. Yes or no?
I'm sorry, one more time. Can you ask that one more time?
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get past it. They told me they started learning concepts as early as first grade. So as as the lady said, I'm assuming he's talking about Miss Nash. Miss Nash, because that's the only lady on here, has said that formulas must be remembered. They are cumulative, which makes processing easier. Yes or no?
Yes, math instruction is challenging because it does build on itself. That addresses the question. Yes, that is one piece, and that's why, like, a lot of times you see in schools they emphasize like the iReady exams, because like that allows teachers to understand where their students are, and understanding like the previous coursework that they have taken. It's the way it's designed. Again, I know people say it's over testing, but the way it's designed is after they take the iReady assessment, that assessment is recorded, so that way teachers can move from there and progress based off of the individual needs of their classes and students. So it does build on itself, and it does make it challenging, which is why like there are several programs already exist to address the summer slide in math, especially. So.
Okay. All right, well, folks, remember, send your questions, your comments. You know what? Me and my kids are gonna have it out once I get off this show. Send your questions, your comments. Please share this live. Everyone, yes, everyone on, please share this live. But I'm gonna go ahead to Brother William.
Ms. Nash, what you mentioned some challenges. What kind of supports, different type of supports, would be helpful or effective, you think, for just even if we're just talking about your students, your children?
Yeah, when my kids were in 5th and 6th grade, they had this awesome principal. Her name was Dr. Kirksey, and they called her Mrs. Dr. Kirksey, which I thought was appropriate. Like they had so much respect for her that she had 2 titles. But Dr. Kirksey, and they were kind of getting in trouble a lot, and I had to move them from one school to the next. And when they got to this school, Dr. Kirksey saw that they were interested in science. So she had some brothers from the Alpha fraternity who were engineers come to the school, and they ended up starting to kind of mentor. They were guest speakers, and then they took an interest in my boys and some other boys of color at their school, and they took a special interest in them and started mentoring them. And so they would come up to the school, and they helped them create this science project where they had to like record these complex algorithms. And they were teaching them about complex algorithms, and so mentoring is really an important support that that in my experience, they were saying, we want to be engineers when we grow up. Like that's what we want to do, and so I think having connections with organizations who can offer mentorship to kids is really important. Another thing is peer tutoring. So a lot of times, and I don't know if you had this experience in school, but I definitely did, that, you know, one of my friends could explain something to me that was harder sometimes in a way that made more sense than an adult you know, and so there's, you know, there's actually, you know, tutoring programs where peers assist each other with tutoring. That would be something that could be set up in schools, where you paired, you know, students who were, you know, doing well in math and who it came to naturally with students who need support. So there's two supports that I think are really doable and easy to, you know, to implement. A little harder to implement in a home setting. But I did hear that there were a bunch of like Ivy League colleges who were offering free tutoring during the stay-at-home order this fall. I can post that information on the um, on the on the page. But you know, you know, if you can't help your kids, let's find help. Like, let's find someone, even live help, and let's call on the mentors, you know, and peers, you know, to be a community of support around kids.
Thank you, Ms. Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Massey, how about you? Any ideas about different ways to support students, especially at this time with math instruction?
Sure. I just want to echo that point about that Ms. Nash made about peer tutoring. It's very critical that because one of the most effective ways of instruction is just when students teach one another. It's part of the Baltimore City instructional framework that teachers are having students teach one another. And it's something that can be capitalized on, and is a little bit more tough to harness, of course, in the virtual space. And like that peer-to-peer tutoring and instruction we know is a lot more effective. Even if whether or not I say something to a student, it's going to be more effective automatically when a student says it to another student. Is automatically, even if it's the exact same words, right? So like harnessing that peer-to-peer instruction is probably like one of the most effective ways of getting math through. And especially when you're talking about upperclassmen and lowerclassmen, like getting like someone that's further along in their career, like an engineer or a college student tutoring a math person, so tutoring a math student in high school or in middle school, that transfer of knowledge can help a lot in facilitating high quality math instruction. So.
Thank you. Tyrone, any more questions or comments from the family out there?
No, we do not, y'all. Come through with the questions. Continue to share. Welcome back, Nataki Bailey. I haven't seen you in a little while, so welcome back, our regulars.
Nataki.
We've had a couple of other folks to join us. I would like to hear from some of our other educators that are online from our DMV group. That would be good. Okay, why is algebra, trigonometry, and advanced necessary for those who will not need it in their major? I hated to have to pay for these classes, as I am a composer musician and had no need of these subjects, but had to pay and take them. Anybody want to respond to that?
Is it about you're paying to take the courses in high school or in college, or?
Well, yeah,
because it's a little bit different depending on the context you're speaking on.
Yeah, I'm sure it is college.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure that it is college. So I mean, yeah, I don't know if y'all want to respond to that, or as y'all think about that, I will throw this out there as well. Is it a lot to ask teachers to give resources that would help parents? Is this a lot more work? If so, how do we make this part of the job?
Speaking from my own perspective as an educator, I wouldn't necessarily. It could be a lot if you think of education as what the traditional teacher in front of students delivering instruction. It can be a little bit challenging for an educator that has done the traditional model of education. I think some more reform teaching practices allow you to have that as like an integral part of your practice, just as so for an example, if instead of me just talking at a group of students for 45 minutes, I might break it up with a video explaining a concept or something that I've already pre-compiled, right? It's not just like on the spot replanning and finding a video about a certain topic. Is really like while I'm thinking, and as an educator, while I'm thinking about making a lesson plan and writing these things down, compiling those resources, pushing them out to students, maybe even have them watch it ahead of time, right? So we can watch ahead of time, come to class, answer questions. That's actually how some college classes, especially in the freshman year of college, are run. And it could be very effective if you do it at the forefront of your mind, not just saying, okay, well, I'm going to teach this and then find other resources to teach the same thing. So,
got it. So first, folks, as Ms. Nash had mentioned about the peer tutoring and the Ivy League schools offering free tutoring on our live, I pinned the comment. So the comment that the link is actually pinned at the bottom of the live. So if anyone's interested in that or learning more, read more, follow that link. It is there. Okay. We don't. Okay. All right. I will get that. Okay. So we got a question. So we have a comment about, so this is not necessarily related to math, but I just think in the time of what's going on with COVID and school coming up, parent says, I'm scared, I'm angry, I'm confused, my anxiety is too much, I avoid news media, etc. to keep my cool. I don't know who to listen to or who to believe. I'm so worried about this upcoming school year. I have so many questions, but I don't want to talk about it. Does it make sense? So Miss Nash, as a parent, you could answer, share some insight about that. I will tell you that I understand where you are coming from. However, I wouldn't personally, as a parent, say it doesn't make sense to talk about it. I would not say that it makes sense to not want to talk about it, because how are you going to get the answers or help or share what it is that you need? I'm a single parent and I'm getting ready to step into a school year. I said it before, I'm getting ready to start a job that I did not apply for, that I don't get paid for, and that I never seen myself doing. That's getting ready to, to teach and be with them. And I have a daughter who's stepping into her first year of high school. And in this space, yeah, like I'm very interested in this math conversation because I don't know nothing. And I appreciate what they're saying, but the schools that are in our community and communities, and what I hear from people, teachers are not as resourceful, right? Like when it comes to that stuff, and they don't open it up for us, nor do we have the resources that schools like Poly and other schools may have to offer those supports up. But again, I'll give it to you, Ms. Nash, to comment and share with that person. Okay, just to add to that, I'll see. She's asking, did I feel? Yeah, your feelings make sense. She want to know if our feelings make sense about it. Absolutely. Everybody's in a confused space and, and worrying and don't know what's going to happen. And again, we're getting ready to do things that we don't know. And I know you have 3 babies, elementary school and in middle school. So I totally understand your feelings. But Miss Nash, do you want to add anything to the parent? As a parent, coming from a parent?
I think that parents, whatever school you're at, have to push teachers and schools to make sure that they're teaching our children. I think that I have to do that even at Poly. not maybe not even at Poly. I have to do that at Poly. And we talked about like how parents could learn some of the math concepts that their kids need to know, but really it's the teachers, and the school providing, creating those supports for kids. That's what's really important. And this is, I'm a former teacher, and so this is not, I have all respect for teachers, but it you teachers have a job, and that's to make sure that kids are learning those concepts and not just getting moved on. And that's really hard. But I think that teachers have a lot of responsibility. Math teachers have a lot of responsibility to make sure that kids are getting it.
Yeah, got you. Thank you. They agree. Yes, partnerships with parents and teachers is vital. Absolutely. If education is not important to the parents, it won't be important to their children. My mom always said that has been my experience with after school programs in Baltimore City. Another parent says it's a mental struggle. Absolutely. The resources that they do provide aren't enough or even helpful for that matter. I know as a parent, one thing that I kind of like talked about and even ex teachers like last school year, again, remember, so my daughter was in the 8th grade and this new math, this is just advice to parents. Of course, I know now like things are different as virtual, but in the beginning of the school year, I actually went to my kids' coach class. In the evening, like I went to my kids' coach class, and I talked to the teachers, and they said it was fine, but that's how I learned something. And I didn't just jump in my brain and stick immediately. Like I had to, do other things to kind of get it. But that, and I don't know if now, I think it may be a little easier to not easier. If parents are home and you do have the time and you're at home, I would encourage you to definitely sit online with them, sit right next to them to be able to hear and know what's going on and everything, to take in, everything that you can take in so that, you can learn with them and get practice. And, what I'm saying, maybe something might click to help out. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. How much of math performance is linked to literacy? Math can be harder to understand when children have difficulty reading or expressing themselves verbally or by writing. Common Core math requires more explanation from the student to demonstrate they understand concepts and can explain their work. So does anybody know question to that about how much of math performance is linked to literacy?
I'm not sure if I know there's a direct tie. I'm not sure of the direct relationship between the two. Of course, because as kids age, they begin to get word problems in the 2nd and 3rd grade, and then they have to pick out important parts and things that don't like there's more information than there's necessary and things like that. But I'm not sure about the direct this level of math requires this level of literacy or reading skills per se. But of course they are intertwined intricately. So
at my school we did math nights. For parents. Now with the COVID-19, that's not happening. Thankful to your school, which is oh man, how did I forget the name of your school? Vallisville. Maybe they could still do something virtually, like they could still get on Zoom and off. I'm thinking something like that may be good for like most schools, in this case of virtual learning. The relationship is the reading to word problems. Literacy is important. Okay. Let's see if we have another comment. Y'all, we're just going through comments about folks share with us now, and any questions, if questions come up. Teachers cannot do it alone. This is true. We have been reduced to daycare helpers. Parents are seeing this now, which is why so many want to reopen schools, even if the well-being of health is at stake. That's your opinion. And I have to respect your opinion. I don't necessarily agree from what I hear. I think parents are definitely more concerned about the health and well-being of kids, which is why it was strongly put out there that parents did not want to go back to school in this hybrid model that the city was talking about, at least here, maybe in some other cities and stuff like that. But the data here has shown overwhelmingly amount of parents did not want their kids going back into a school building, right now, and wanted to last until at least the end of January versus, the time that was put out there now. But so again, y'all, share the live. Thank you for you all's comments. I think we are okay. Well, no. If you have any other questions for our folks, please send them in quick so we can try to get them out. I'll go back to you now, William. If you have something, because a lot of conversations that's going on online now. Pastor Lily Russell, welcome. Thank you for sharing. A lot of the comments now that's going on is between the parents and interacting with each other in the group. So we'll leave that to them to do.
Right.
I'll come back to you now.
Mr. Massey, you've given us already some resources, and I should commend you. As you said, your practice is actually computer science, but as this is a math conversation and we understand that math is a language of science, do you have any resources maybe off the top that you could give families right now that they could go to virtually? You did mention YouTube, and YouTube is great. And like you said, I think the key is going to, one of those reputable sites where the math is going to be correct. But do you have any that you could offer the family?
Right. I think one of the, some of the critical pieces with math is trying to find somewhere not just YouTube, but somewhere you can actually get some practice in, because like YouTube, again, is just giving information, but then actually being able to practice it might be something entirely different. Like if you go to the Khan Academy portal, Sal Khan started on YouTube, and then he's since gotten several Google grants. And now his platform on Khan Academy is very robust. So like something like Khan Academy, where you can actually watch a video, get some practice, get some feedback, not probably not as to the level of detail that you get in a classroom, but it's still some feedback nevertheless, right? For and programs like that, there are a few out there. The first two that come to my mind, especially for the younger younger crew, is like is Khan Academy, and Khan Academy is usually for all ages, but especially for the older crew. And then maybe even websites like freckle.com is a one that is really appropriate for younger kids. Younger kids like it all the time. So maybe freckle.com it's free for parents if you just want to use it for your child and things like that. So small things like that. And I'm sure some schools have like access to ABC Mouse, so you might like touch base with the school about that, or Adventure Academy, which is like ABC Mouse for older kids. Those are paid services, of course, but I understand that some schools do have access to them, and I think there is a district license for ABC Mouse. But so yes, so that's what I have in that department.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. You have answered the call, sir.
Yeah.
Ms. Nash, you mentioned a couple of resources. Harvard was one, and then also a fraternity that had come in. Is there any other resources that you have as a parent that you could share?
Yeah, I have really liked Khan Academy for my kids. But there's also, because like Mr. Massey said, with math, is that practice that's really important. There's a lot of websites that can help with that and kind of make it fun. There's one called Rocket Math. I can try to post these in the chat. And I actually have a good friend. Some of you may know him. His name is Josh Michael. He used to be a math teacher at Commodore, and he put together this guide for parents to supplementing math instruction. It's a Google Doc. I want to ask him if I can share it as well, because he has all kinds of great ideas in that document. And he actually made it because my nephew, who lives in Texas, was like really struggling with math, and my sister was trying to figure out how to help him. And so, I asked my friend, and I guess he has so many people asking him that kind of question. He just put it all in one place. So as soon as I get permission from him, I'll put, which I'm sure I'm saying it live, he will, then I'll post that for everybody. Because there's a lot of websites, like Rocket Math and like Freckle, that can help kids just to do that regular practice, almost like flashcards. Like, we used to do flashcards with the index cards. Now there are games and stuff like that.
Thank you for that information that's posted. We do have a so the issue, a lot of Freckle. Okay, so all at the Khan Academy, Freckle Math, Rocket Math, you all see that. We do have a couple other things that I do want to mention from parents, and that is what question came up about, what are we going to do about, I'm sorry, I don't know if this was X, that's another, but what about the not so intelligent parents? How do we support them? A lot of these sites and supports that are available cost, and people do not have the resources to be able to pay for them. Although there are free ones, a lot of this is offered to kids and not parents. Another educator, I was helping about 70 students with homework assistance in the after school program with math. But with COVID, I've not been able to, which is very, very sad. And the resources have to be there to be able to help parents. I totally agree about that. And YouTube will help as well with some, if they can learn at that pace. That is absolutely true. Miss Nash, I keep wanting to call you Miss Nance. Miss Nash, if you can get that information, please share it. Someone's asking for that document. They would love that. So we will post it on our, once we get that information and she gets the okay, we will post that information for you all either on our website or on TDP's website or on TDP's Facebook page, so you can find it. And for those who asked and showed interest, I will personally come and put it in your inbox, so that you're able to get that. Do schools have career days where different professions come in to explain what they do and how much money they make? I think that happens at some schools, Ms. Anderson. I'm not, 1,000% sure what all schools does that or have that now. But if there's any other points, I think, because we're about at end time now. So I will jump in and do my little closing part. Thank you all for joining us now on live. And those that are still there, I absolutely love and admire this conversation that is going on between this group of parents in this one group. Like, it is super dope, y'all. Like, I wish y'all could, and of course y'all can't because it's not on the TDP page, it's in another parent group. But the conversation that is going on and the resources that are being shared and parents willing to help each other out in here, like, is super duper duper dope to me. So thank y'all, Eddie. Hello, Miss Yolanda Jackson and Mel and all of y'all that's on there. I'm not just thank y'all for having that, for having that stuff going on. Thank you all that joined. Again, please continue to share this live. You can host a watch party a little later on, in a day if you would like to. help us out, help get this word out and this information out to parents. Someone said it earlier, it is important for parent and teacher relationships. So any way that we can have, like, that is the most important piece, in my opinion, about this virtual learning. That is the best way for us parents to be supportive to our students and to teachers, for us to help build relationships. There's a part that teachers has to do, but there's also a part that parents have to do as well to help formulate and build relationships with your child teacher. So yeah, remember that. I will thank you for getting how you share these topics for parents. Oh, don't thank us. It's what we do. It's what we do, and we're gonna keep on doing it. We know the importance of it. We work with teachers and parents all day, every day. So we're gonna keep that up. Back to you. Y'all know, oh yeah, William will say it too, but join us Thursday at Tyrone's house as we discuss more about education and parenting and stuff like that, a little bit more relaxed and just open conversation. And of course, come back to us next week here and continue to look out. We're going to be posting information about our citywide parent group meeting coming up really soon. And the topic is around parent organizing in schools and stuff like that, which parents can still do during COVID-19.
I want to thank our esteemed guest, Mr. Massey. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking not only about math, but resources and teaching and the history of it all. And thank you for your contribution, sir, in the classroom, especially in this time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Certainly. Ms. Nash, thank you so much for coming on as well, sharing your unique perspective as a parent. We appreciate you so much, and thank you for your resources also. We weren't expecting that, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. And I was able to get permission to share that. Google Doc is now in the comments. So.
And what's the name of that teacher?
His name is Joshua Michael. So
Joshua
he was
Michael.
a middle school math teacher at Commodore, which is a city school. And now he works with the UMBC Sherman Scholars Program, who are preparing teachers to work in Baltimore schools. So
super. Mr. Michael, thank you so much, sir, for contributing. And this is what this show is about, learning, contributing, sharing, and empowering our parents and our students. Join us as the face of the franchise just advertised. No need for me to say it, but I will say it anyway. Thursday, 5 o'clock, Ms. Nash, Mr. Massey, please join us if you would, on Tyrone's house. Do not be late. You do not want to miss the show. He is back in full effect mode. Thank you all so much, family. We will see you next Monday and this Thursday. Have a good evening.
If y'all want to, if anybody else is interested,
I'm about to sign off. You're going to cut right in the last moment.
I'm sorry, because she just shared that she got permission to send the doc. So I just wanted folks to, because I don't know everybody who won it. So I want them to reach out to me if y'all want the document so that I can send you all, the link or whatever to the document, because I don't see it in the chat.
You know what we should do, Tyrone? We should hold it hostage for, if you want it, you need to come to Tyrone's house on Thursday.
Whoa. That just might be it, and bring a chip. Sorry. No, but yeah, if y'all interested though, just let us know. Send us some type of something, you know what I'm saying, and you can get it by Thursday.
5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock.
Thank y'all so much. I love y'all, family. See y'all next Monday, Thursday.